welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. This is part 2 to my story. These sort of things will always be not hard for me to talk about in the moment, but having to relive my story this past week with like getting help and things like that has been tough on me. I'll explain a little later in the story of part 2 like other things that made reliving my story hard, but for now I actually wrote down things on this piece of paper, or 2 pieces of paper actually, that I could remember, and if I remember anything else, I will definitely bring it up in this video. But I do want to start with answering a question I got on part 1. Part 1, someone commented asking, how were you able to hide the leg with all the bruises? I work at a grocery store. I'm not going to say where I work because I don't want to give away where I live, but I work at a grocery store, and the fit of the grocery store is, well, jeans. As you can tell, the fit, our uniform, is jeans. Now, since our uniform is jeans, the jeans usually cover my legs and go all the way down to my ankles. So, I would go to work with bruises on my leg, and no one could ever see them because of my jeans. I know I took a picture on my old phone of the bruise he gave me on my leg, and I sent it to him saying, look at what you did. And it was probably like that big on my leg. It covered my entire shin. There'd be multiple times I would go to work with bruises, by the way. Anyways, I don't have that photo. So I had proof, but since I don't have my messages from my old phone, because my old phone was an iPhone and I have an Android phone, I don't have that proof anymore of the leg bruise, but if I did, I would so totally put it in this part 2 video. By the way, all the proof of like bruising and ripping of clothes and all the proof I have will be at the end of part 2 of this video. So yeah, but that's to answer your question. The reason there's only one picture of my leg bruises is because I always wore long pants, because back when he gave me those bruises, I would have to go to work the next day, and our attire is jeans, and so, and a plain shirt, like no graphic tees or anything, but I would always be wearing jeans, so no one would ever see my bruises, because of the fact that I worked almost every day. So my attire was jeans almost every day. So to answer your question, jeans. That's how. Wearing jeans. That's how you never saw my bruises, was wearing jeans. Now, We had a lot of arguments in our relationship, more than most relationships have arguments, I think. Or at least more than most should, I should say. Because I don't know what relationships are out there. Like, I don't know if of relationships that are worse than mine, or if there are relationships worse than mine. But okay, that's not fully true. I know there are relationships out there that are worse than mine, like Kayla Malik's, for instance. But I gotta say, we had a lot of arguments in our relationship, so much so that we would be yelling, and his parents were in the other room, and they could hear us arguing. That's how loud we were. Um, they could hear us arguing, and never stepped in because one, it's not their place, and two, they wanted us to resolve it on our own. But we were so loud that his parents could hear us arguing. And also my parents could hear us arguing. So we had our fair share of arguments, but these are the ones that I remember the most. So one day, I asked my mom for advice because he didn't like my friends, and yeah. By the way, his name is still Luke in this story. I'm not telling you his real name, but his name is still Luke in this story. Luke didn't like my friends, so I asked my mom for advice on that, and she gave me her advice and then told me to ask my Aunt Karen the same story and ask for advice from her, and her advice was something along the lines of telling him, well, don't you trust me? And he figured out somehow, I believe it was because he always told me that I act different after talking to my mother or asking her for advice, and I go along with what she says instead, and I change the subject around so that way it could go her way and not his way. It was always his way or the highway, the my way or the highway sort of thing, but it was always his way or the highway. Anyways, so he figured out eventually that I had asked my mom for advice on my friends, and we got into an argument on that, about that actually, and then the next day I felt super bad about it and told him. I also asked my Aunt Karen for advice on the same subject, and he got even more mad. The night before I told him that Aunt Karen and I had talked about that, he was yelling at me and basically making me beg for mercy, and I was crying so loud and screaming so loud at him, saying, please forgive me. Please forgive me. I can change. And I also said, it'll never happen again. And I also said, things like, I believe he said something along the lines of like, we're done and I'm over you and I'm glad I broke up with you. And I said, please take me back or something like that. I can't remember exactly what happened in that conversation, but I was screaming and pleading for mercy. I know that. I was like, I beg you, please forgive me. It'll never happen again. And things like that. And then the next day, when I told him I had asked Aunt Karen for advice on that same subject, he got mad at me again, like I mentioned, and basically argued with me again. And from that day forward, he despised my Aunt Karen. I have an alarm going off. I hope you can hear me. But ever since that day, he had despised my Aunt Karen, never liked her, and just from that day forward, he hated her. Which you have to be a pretty big monster to hate my Aunt Karen. She is the most amazing Aunt Karen I've ever had. So, and she's the only Aunt Karen I've ever had. So she's really cool. If you guys ever meet her, like in daily life, like you're just walking by and you happen to meet her, you'll instantly become good friends with her. She is so cool. But he despised her and hated her and said bad things about her, and all that jazz. And, yep, just forbade me from basically asking for advice again from my Aunt Karen. So, but I'm taking back my life and my freedom, and I'm gonna ask for advice from my Aunt Karen if I ever need to. So, screw you, Luke. And then the next argument we had was, it was a really quick argument, but it was still an argument nonetheless. I had downloaded Instagram again. Okay, let me give you a little backstory on why I say I downloaded Instagram again. It was because he forbade me from having, yes, he forbade, would not allow. I hate that I always have to say he allowed me to do something or didn't allow me to do something, but according to him, he had to allow me. Anyways, so he didn't allow me to have social media. He stopped me from having TikTok, which I now have. He stopped me from having Instagram, which I re-downloaded and have now. And he stopped me from having Snapchat. The only social media he allowed me to have was YouTube. And barely at that. But I re-downloaded Instagram on my new phone. And oh yeah, he also forbade me from having Facebook. Anyways, that's aside the point. I had re-downloaded Instagram again, and he deleted it off my phone immediately. And then I re-downloaded it again the same day, and he deleted it off my phone again. And the reason I was downloading Instagram again is so I could contact his sister, or honorary sister, who still lives in California, and was going to contact her asking her if she can come up for his 21st birthday. Which, by the way, we're not going to get into because I'm no longer going to his 21st birthday, hence the fact that we broke up. Anyways, so I was going to contact her because that was the only form of contact I had with her was Instagram. And he kept deleting Instagram off my phone, and he said, "Why are you downloading Instagram again? You can't have Instagram." And I was like, "Why can't I have Instagram?" And he goes, because I shared a relationship with your situationship. I shared a relationship with her. Yeah, he thinks he shared a relationship with my situationship. He thinks that he shared a relationship with them. I'm a bisexual just trying to figure out my goddamn feelings here. So, you did not, Luke. Listen to me, Luke. If you're watching this, listen to me, Luke. You did not fucking share a relationship with them. You did not fucking share a relationship with them. Okay? You did not, motherfucker. But he thought that he shared a relationship with my oh my god, I can't speak today. He thought that he shared a relationship with my situationship. He did not. The next argument we had was, so I have a vlog on my vlog channel called The Wedding of Matt and Maddie. In the beginning of that video, it starts off with me talking about how I'm gonna go get makeup for the wedding. Good evening, everyone. It is around 6:12 p.m. right now. I am about to go run an errand. Tomorrow I'm going to a wedding with my boyfriend and my family. So I'm gonna pick up some makeup for the wedding and also just to have makeup for like Halloween stuff too. So I'm gonna pick up some eyeshadow and that might be it, but we'll see. I just know I need to pick up some makeup for tomorrow because I didn't have any makeup. Can you guess why I didn't have any makeup, anyone? Because I got rid of everything I own. Remember that little story? I got rid of my bed, my clothing, my shoes, my necklaces, my jewelry, my gifts from friends, and my makeup. To my car. I would have recorded a lot yesterday, but my phone died, so you're getting a yesterday to today vlog, which I'm okay with. Usually I don't like 2-day vlogs, but like a vlog that goes from yesterday to today, but I'm okay with it for today. Anyways, you're gonna watch me bring all the stuff out to the car because I'm gonna go to the dump today, so I have a lot to do. I got rid of my fucking makeup, which I wish I didn't get rid of. Because my sister got me some makeup too when I bet you this makeup's probably expired now. Who cares? It's eyeshadow. It probably does not expire if it's eyeshadow. But she got me a whole fucking eyeshadow palette from e.l.f. Cosmetics when I was like, I think 15 or 17, something like that. I'm turning 23 this year, so that tells you how long I've had it. Anyways, he made me get rid of that. And I basically got rid of my life, okay? I had nothing. Remember when I told you his parents said that I dressed like a boy? I don't think I may have told you that. He and his parents said that I dressed like a boy. Why do I dress like a boy? Because all I have is their son's clothes. So of course I was going to dress like a boy when all I have is his clothes. But yeah, so I got rid of my makeup, and so I went to go get makeup. And he got mad at me for spending money on my makeup. And here's his logic to that. Here's his reason why he got mad at me. You ready? Oh, and I'm going to pretend to be him. Oh, you spent money on makeup for the wedding when you wouldn't ever spend money on makeup for me. Yeah, he got mad at me for spending money on makeup that I was going to use after the wedding too. And he thought I only spent money because I wanted to look pretty for the wedding and not for him. So what did he do with my makeup? He told me I wasn't allowed to buy any more makeup. So he put my makeup on a really high shelf that I couldn't reach, so I wouldn't be able to use my makeup. The shelf was so high that I would have to climb on the oh my god, the bathroom sink just to get to it. I'd have to climb on the bathroom sink just to get to the makeup if I wanted to use it. The next argument we had that ended in me screaming was I bought my Samsung phone like 3-4 months ago now. He got mad at me for buying a phone. I wanted to switch out my phone to an Android phone for a little while. Basically because he forced me to do that. Anyways, I'll explain that in a little bit. But I couldn't wait, I guess. And went ahead and bought my Samsung phone. I had texted him that night because he asked me where I was because I was going over to his house, and I said I'm waiting on my phone to my phone, like my information and data and stuff from my iPhone to switch over to my Samsung phone. So I said I was waiting on that to switch over to my new phone. And he said, new phone? What do you mean new phone? And I said, I just got a new phone. And so he basically got mad at me for not being able to wait on exchanging my phone out when he forced me to get a new phone because he always said Androids are better than iPhones, and he basically told me to get a new phone. So he got mad at me for buying a new phone. Before I had my new phone, there would be moments in our arguments where he would basically threaten me in certain ways. In arguments we've had, he would take my phone and, well, one of the arguments I remember is he took my phone and threw it in the trash can and would not let me have my phone. He took the phone case off it and threw it in the trash can at his house. This was one of the times that he wanted me to be mad at my mom for something. And I wasn't going to be mad at her. And so that's when he threw my phone away and said that if I get my phone out of the trash can, he would break it. And I said, if you break it, you owe me a new phone. And he said, no, I don't. When in fact, he would owe me a new phone if he broke my phone. So he forbade me from getting the phone out of the trash. And I said, well, what if I need to check my texts? Or if I get a call from my mom? So what did he do? He turned my phone off completely and just left it in the trash and said, I'm going to throw it in the trash and have it go out in the garbage the next day, and I wouldn't have a phone ever again. Mind you, my money that I get, like my paychecks I get, go into my savings account first, and I have to transfer money out from my savings account to my checking account so I can spend money. That's how that works. So if he were to have gotten rid of my phone, I wouldn't have had a way to check how much money I have or see how much money I have so I can buy myself a new phone, because I know for damn well he wasn't going to buy me a new phone. He made it abundantly clear that he wouldn't owe me a new phone if he broke my phone. Another time we got into an argument. I don't remember what this argument was about, but another time we got into an argument, I just had my phone near me, and he picked up my phone and threw it across the room. He threw it so hard that if he were to throw it like that again, it probably would break. It didn't break, but I know for damn well he could have chucked it at a wall, he could have chucked it at a desk, and it would have broken. To which he would owe me a new phone. But his logic, he don't owe me a new phone. So he would have owed me a new phone if it would have broken. I'm trying to think of something else, but it'll come back to me. I had it there and then it went away. I lost my train of thought. It'll come back to me when I keep talking, but I know it's one of those arguments we've had. Anyways, another argument we had was basically he got mad at me for dating people before him. I've had 4 exes if you count him. My first ex was a criminal. My second ex cheated on me with their ex and called me their ex's name. My third ex cheated on me with 3 women, and then there's my 4th ex, the one I'm telling you about right now. He got mad at me for having exes before him and basically called himself Sloppy Seconds. He didn't want to be my Sloppy Seconds. I'm not going to get into any detail about my life, but basically, one time we DoorDashed something, and my ex was our DoorDasher, and basically he had forgotten for a while that I had had exes before him and everything like that. And seeing my ex brought that back up into his brain, and it made him angry and upset for like a few days. Because that's all he could think about. And that he was my Sloppy Seconds. Yeah. Anyways, another day we had an argument. My mom was in the room for this one, and we had an argument over the fact that I had exes before him. I was crying, and my mom was there when I was crying, and basically started talking to him and telling him that he's gonna end up dating people that have dated people before him in the future too, and basically telling him all the ways that it's not my fault and everything like that. And he didn't like that. So what did he do? He started calming down. Now you probably are thinking, how is that him being mad? He pretended to calm down just so my mom would stop lecturing him. He pretended to be calm so she would stop talking to him. And so we, at the time, me, my mom, my mom and I were going to the store because he was going to spend the night at my house, and we were going to the store. So after he had calmed down to make my mom stop talking to him, we made it to the store, and I thought everything was peachy keen and happy. Turns out he was still mad at me. He definitely showed it by being distant and quiet and basically giving me the silent treatment. And I said, "Why are you still mad? I thought you were okay in the car. I thought everything was okay." And he goes, "I just did that so your mom would stop lecturing me." Yeah. Now, there have been multiple times his mom has told him, don't be rude to her in front of me. But this was one of the times that he was rude to me in front of his mom, and she didn't like it. So, we were making s'mores outside on their back patio, and they had a fire pit thingy in their back patio, and that's how we made the s'mores. Anyways, I had a hot dog. I was done with my hot dog. I set it down on the plate, the plastic plate, paper plate, plastic plate, something like that, on their outdoor table thing. And I said, I'm going to throw it away when I get up. That made him think that I was never going to throw it away. And it made him think he had to throw it away. So he picks up the plate, storms inside, and the thing he says while storming inside is, she's a worthless girlfriend. She's a worthless girlfriend. He called me worthless, which made his mom mad. She's told him on multiple occasions that he doesn't talk to me like that, or shouldn't talk to me like that, but he never listened. Now, the next argument we had was basically he was going on a cruise with his parents, and he wanted me to fix my bond with my mom and not be so close with her anymore. Surprising how he wanted me to not be close with my mom. Surprising, isn't it? But somebody who's a narcissistic fucking little turd bitch is like that. Anyways, so he basically said to me, don't talk to your mom or involve her in your school work. He wanted me to not involve my mom in choosing classes, talking to my advisors, and everything like that. I told him I wouldn't, but I let her into my life. I'm not sorry for doing this too. I let her into my life of choosing classes, talking to my advisors, and all the things like that, which I figured out for the most part. I'm going to be taking most likely 4 classes this coming semester, which I'm honestly nervous about, but at the same time I know I got this, because wherever there's a will, there's a way, and I know I've got this, but I'm nervous because I've never taken 4 classes like at my college before, and I don't want it to feel like too stressful. I'll get into why I have so many classes. I'll get into that in a second, but I let my mom into my life as normal, which someone, if you've got a bond with your parents, then that means you fucking let them into your life. Why? Because you shouldn't not have a bond with your parents. It's not wrong to love your parents. It's not wrong to be close with your parents. It's not wrong. But yet, he thought it was wrong. Yet he was close to his parents. Make it make sense. Anyways, so my mom talked to my advisor and asked questions, and then that was that. I recorded a vlog about it, and I was like super excited for him to watch my vlogs when he got back from his vacation. So he watched my vlogs, And once he figured out that I let my mom talk to my advisors, know about the classes I'm choosing, and everything like that, he started crying and saying, "I thought you said you were going to change. I thought you said you were going to change." Mind you, he had just had his birthday a few months prior to this. So he's now a 20-year-old man baby. He's now a 20-year-old man baby. Yeah. So he was crying about that and got really mad and basically said, "I thought you had changed," or "I thought you were going to change." Whatever. Another argument we had was the time that I didn't tell him something. You're probably wondering how that spiraled into an argument. Anyone who's sane is probably wondering that. Anyways, here's how it spiraled into an argument. So, my mom has this friend. She's my friend too. But for the sake of the story, she's my mom's friend. This is how I'm gonna say the story to make it make sense. She's my friend too, but this is how I'm gonna say the story to make it make sense. So, my mom tells me something about her friend that her friend didn't want many people to know. I'm not going to get into detail about that because it's my mom's friend. It's her life, not mine to share. But my mom told me something about her friend that her friend didn't want many people to know. So, of course, my mom said, "Don't tell anyone." So, did I tell anyone? No. I kept my promise on not telling anyone. And a few days go by, and I'm going to pause right there for a second, but let me tell you a little backstory before I continue my story. The backstory is that my mom's friend and her daughter told my mom that Luke had gotten the daughter a necklace that looked identical to the one that he'd gotten me for Christmas, for Christmas of 2023. And so he thought that my mom's friend and my mom's friend's family was trying to break up our relationship. So he got mad and told me to block them all, unfriend them all on every social media I have. Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all the social medias, okay? And now we're into this story. So we're past the point of my mom telling me the thing that her friend doesn't want many people to know, blah blah blah. And I kept my promise of not telling anyone. So a few days go by, and he asks me where my mom went when my mom was going out to hang out with a friend. I said, she went to go hang out with her friend, the one that I've been telling you about that doesn't want me to tell anyone anything. So I said she went to hang out with that friend and got cookies. I wasn't lying to him. I was just keeping my promise on not saying anything. So I told him and his mom that my mom and her friend went to go get cookies. A day or two goes by, and he pries the whole information out of me. He pries the secret out of me. He pries the whereabouts of where she went, things like that. And his response, mind you, he knows my mom's friend because my mom's friend met him before he met me. Now, since Luke knows my friend, my mom's friend and my friend, he should be a little more considerate in this area. But instead of being considerate and kind and being like, oh my gosh, I feel so bad for your mom's friend, blah, blah, blah. He said, so you lied to me. You lied straight to me in my mom's face. You lied to us. He called me a liar. That ain't the first time he called me a liar. But he called me a liar. Yeah. The first time he called me a liar, I'm not going to get into that story because I'm just not. The first time he called me a liar, he got so mad at me. He threw me out of his house. Not like he didn't pick me up and throw me or anything. Sorry, alarm went off. But he basically just said leave and go home. He made me leave and go home. Because I was that much of a liar that he made me leave and go home. Because he needed to rethink things. Think about things, I guess. So yeah, he kicked me out of his house the very first time he called me a liar. One of the first times that he broke up with me and said, I'm done with you. I'm glad we're over. I'm glad I broke up with you. He was so mad at me that he took his hand and squeezed, I can't remember which hand he squeezed, but he squeezed my hand so hard that it hurt really bad. And if he would have squeezed any harder, I would have had a broken hand. Just to preface, here's how bad he could have gotten with me. He's told me a story about how he broke someone's leg in school. He just, I don't remember the whole situation, but basically he got mad at, I think, a bully who was bullying somebody. I don't know. And picked the guy, like grabbed the guy's leg and snapped it. I'm just saying, he could have been a lot worse with me if I would have stayed. I probably could have had broken bones if I would have stayed. So it just goes to show, I'm glad I left when I did. Anyways. But one of the first times he broke up with me, he squeezed my hand and then said, don't talk to me. And then just sent me home crying the entire drive home. I was about halfway home when he finally picked up the fucking phone and told me to turn around, go back to his house so we could talk it out. Mind you, his mom got mad at me that day for false stories he told her about me. He told her about my situationship and how he blamed it on me, that I was having a hard time figuring out my feelings, but he said it in a way that was like, she doesn't know if she wants her situationship. She doesn't know if she wants me or her situationship. She doesn't know if this, that, this. And that made his mom mad at me. And when I came back to talk to him after finally hearing his voice and hearing him tell me that he was going to allow me to talk to him, he said, "Guess what, Mom? We're not broken up." And his mom was like, "Yay!" Like his mom was mad at me. He blamed it on me that I cheated on him. He blamed me for cheating on him when I never did. So that happened. That was the very first time he'd broken up with me. There were multiple times he did that, by the way. You heard a lot in my first story, or in part 1 you heard a lot, but that was one of the first times he had broken up with me. Okay. So another argument we had was when hold on one second. I'm going to move the camera closer to me real quick. Okay, there we go. So another argument we had was over this thing. So my friend sends me some photos of her, of her past. I'm not going to get into that because it's her life to share, not mine. But she sends me some photos of her past and says, "Don't show Luke. I don't know him that well." And I said, "Sure, I won't show Luke." I kept my promise. I didn't show him. And a week later, I tell him, "I haven't shown you this yet, and I'm not going to show you, but my friend sent me some photos of her past, and she told me not to show you because she doesn't know you that well." His response was, "I can't believe you hid that from me. I can't believe you hid that from me." Let's let that sink in. I hid that from him when I never did. I just respected my friend's boundaries. Now, the last thing that I can think of, or at least that I thought of on this piece of paper, but I know more stuff is going to come to me throughout this video, is, so he met some of my friends. He met my friend Kristen, he met my friend Rose, he met my friend Andrea, and he's met my sister before. Now, he, at the time, didn't know my friend Andrea, and so, long story short, if he didn't know any of my friends, he didn't want me to be alone with them. If he didn't know them, he didn't want me being alone with them. He had to meet them before I could be alone with them. And even then, he wouldn't want me to be alone with them. After he met them, too. He's like, "Oh, it's okay if you're alone with Kristen or Rose. That's fine. Like, I like them. That's fine." But if he didn't like them, or didn't know them, I wasn't allowed to be alone with them. Now another story that I thought of was, and by the way, I'm going to change the name of my friend here because I'm actually hanging out with them tomorrow. So I'm going to change the name of my friend. But anyways, so I met my friend in college this year, and we had the same class together, so that's how I met them. But I met them, and I had told Luke that my friend and I went to the mall, and we went to Spencer's, and then I dropped my friend off at their house. He got mad at me for having my friend sit in the front seat for going to Spencer's and dropping them off at their house. Now, why did he get mad at me for having them in the front seat? You already know that one. He wouldn't allow me to have people in the front seat. Anyways, so that's no longer relevant in part 2. Now, he got mad at me for going to Spencer's with my friend. Why? Because Spencer's is a sex store, and I wasn't allowed to go to a sex store with my friends. I understand not going to a sex store, but like, Spencer's is not that bad of a store. I get it. The back of Spencer's has rated X things and rated X clothing. I get that. But like, we didn't go to the back of Spencer's. We didn't buy anything from the back of Spencer's either. But we went to Spencer's. And that pissed him off. Now, what pissed him off even more was the fact that I dropped them off at their house. Now, why did this piss him off? Because he told me, don't go to anyone's house if you don't know them that well. I didn't go to their house. All I did was drop them off. I dropped them off. That's all I did. Didn't go into their house. And he said that's still going to their house. So I've had to lie to him in the past and say that I'm not, like, lie to him and basically not tell him that I'm dropping my friends off at their houses, not telling him that I'm having my friends ride in the front seat, not telling him we're going to Spencer's, things like that. Yeah. So a few days go by, and my senses are tingling, and I think to myself, my friend is most likely a part of the LGBTQ. They are. I'm not going to say what, though, because that's their life to share and not mine. But they are a part of the LGBTQ, and they support LGBTQ. And so I say to him, I think that my friend is part of the LGBTQ. You already know that Luke hates LGBTQ whatsoever by calling me a monster and wanting to shoot an arrow through my friend who is part of the LGBTQ. Anyways, you already know that. So when I tell him I think my friend is part of the LGBTQ, he says, and I quote, "Hell no. You're getting rid of your friend. And you're dropping the class you have with them in it. You're dropping the class you have with them." I stood firm to how I felt and said, "No, I'm not dropping that class. I like that class." And he said, "Yes, you are. You're dropping that class." And I said, "No, I'm not." And he said, "Yes, you are." And it was an argument for a good minute and a half of "No, I'm not, yes, you are. No, I'm not, yes, you are. No, I'm not, yes, you are." And so I text them after they text me first. And that's how our friendship started, is we started off by texting. And hanging out, of course, but it really started by, like, texting. I mean, it started off by us hanging out and going to Spencer's and then me dropping them off at their house, but for the most part, it was mainly through texting. But anyways, they text me, and I text them back, and we have a good conversation for like an hour or two before we both go to bed. Now, I sent a picture of them to him. And said, "This is what they look like." And he said, "How did you get that picture?" And I said, "They texted me a picture of them because I had asked for a picture of them so I could put it in their profile photo on my phone." And he said, "I thought I told you we're not communicating with them. I thought I told you we're not communicating with them. I thought I told you not to communicate with them." That pissed me off, and also he was already mad. So he told me he wanted to see the text messages between us. So I send him every single text message that we had that night. And I sent him the text message I sent her of me sending a photo back to her for the profile photo in her phone. And it was a picture of me and him. And he said, Well, great. Now they have a picture of us. He didn't want them to have a picture of us. Basically, he had to decide if they and I could be friends still. He had to make the decision whether or not they could still be my friend. And when I changed my profile photo in my phone for her, like changed the profile for her, like, you know how phones have like little icon you can change to make them a profile. Anyway, I changed that photo and he said, I hope you didn't change their profile photo. Did you change their profile photo? I lied to him and said no, when in reality I did. And he said, did you or did you not? And I took the photo out of the profile photo so that way I could take a picture of the profile photo being empty so that way it wouldn't be changed and he could just see that. But whatever the case, he had to decide whether or not they could be my friends still. Yeah. He basically had to allow them to be my friend. But the night that I brought them home to their house, he got mad at me for going to Spencer's with them, having them ride in the front seat, me dropping them off at their house, things like that. And I was like, I texted him, and I've looked at him too, and I said, I finally made a friend. I finally made a friend in school. Like, I finally made a friend. And now I have to get rid of this friend. I did not get rid of this friend. I'm never gonna get rid of this friend. But basically what happened was he was like, you have to get rid of this friend now. And I'm like, but I just made a friend. And he goes, that's not my problem. That's not my problem. He literally was like, that's not my problem. That's a you problem now. I can't believe that he said it was my problem. Like, my problem, not his. So, that happened. But our bond, me and my friend, our bond has grown stronger and stronger. And I really like them as a friend. I really, really like them. I'm actually really glad I have them in my life. They've been there for me through this whole process of getting help and things like that. I've texted them saying how I feel after being broken up with. And I've texted them how I feel when seeing friends I haven't seen in a while because my ex made me get rid of them. So, I really, really trust this friend, and I really like this friend. And I'm thankful to have them in my life. Now here comes the part of all the emotions I have felt after having to relive my story. I have had to relive my story the past week, almost 2 weeks now. There is record, not police record yet, but there is record of what he's done to me now. There is some record of that now. And I'm glad there's a record of that. But it's been really hard reliving my story the past almost 2 weeks. I went to a rally like 2-3 days ago. I believe it was Thursday I went to a rally. And I saw some friends that my ex Luke made me get rid of, and the emotions just hit me right then and there. I'll put in the clip that I posted of how I felt, but long story short, I felt like crying, and everything like that.
I'm going to take time to explain something real quick. I just saw some friends that my ex made me get rid of, and I want them back in my life, but seeing them is just really hard right now because it brings up a lot of emotions because they knew my ex before I knew him. So, it's just bringing up a lot of emotions right now, and I feel like crying. I didn't realize I was that traumatized by my ex until having to relive my story this past week with help, people that are helping me, and with sharing my story on YouTube and seeing friends and things like that. So it's just bringing up a lot of emotions, and rehashing a lot of things, but they know that they basically, what they did was they backed away from him because he was trying to get with one of the kids. Like before he met me, he was trying to date one of the kids. I'm not gonna like get into that, but I'm glad they backed away from him. It's just now the emotions are flooding back into me. They've been flooding back into me ever since yesterday, really. I've been getting lots and lots of help with my situation, and it's just been really, really hard. So, if you end up seeing a video or something on one of my social medias of me crying, it's because emotions are flooding into me and things are very hard right now with reliving my story.
Now, this Thursday coming up, I'm meeting with a friend that hasn't been in my life in a few months because my ex made me get rid of them too. And I'm going to explain to them everything that went down, and apologize to them, and hopefully they will take me back into their life, and hopefully they will come back into my life. If not, that's fine, that's their choice, but honest to God, I really hope I come back into their life and that they come back into mine because I really, really liked them. I have to talk to my therapist. And ask her advice on what to do. Like how to go about seeing my friend, because I know the emotions are going to come back into me, and it's going to be really hard. But that's something that I'm glad is happening, and I'm glad that I can see them again and hopefully get them back in my life. One thing that I forgot to mention was in the process of getting rid of everything, he saw my toy bear, Barry. I love that bear. I've had that bear since I was 5. Now, Luke almost made me get rid of that bear. I didn't get rid of that bear, and I'm so glad that I didn't. But that bear was given to me by my friend Harris at the time. I was 5. He was like 3, I think. He was 3 or 2, something like that. I was in the hospital at the time, and he gave me that bear. I really, really liked my friend Harris. I think 5-year-old me had a crush on my friend Harris at the time. But anyways, that's aside the point. My friend Harris gave me that bear, and that sent my ex Luke into a spiral of, I don't like that another man gave you a stuffed animal. I don't like that another man gave you that bear. I can get you a better bear. I'm like, I'm not getting rid of that bear. He goes, yes, you are. I don't like that another man gave you that bear. That bear is still on my bed right now. That bear is on my bed in that room. Now, I told you in part 1 that I would tell you why my bedroom is down in the basement now, when it used to be upstairs in the middle room in the hallway, directly across from the bathroom. Well, I totally forgot to tell you why I moved downstairs, but I'm going to tell you now. I moved downstairs because he didn't like, yes, Luke didn't like that exes have been in the room I had before this one. He didn't like that he made me get rid of my bed because he didn't like that my exes have been in that bed or on that bed. Same thing with the room. He didn't like that my exes have seen my room, have been in that room, anything before him. So he made me switch rooms. The first few nights of me being in that room, I hated it. I wanted to go back upstairs. I hated it. I've gotten used to it now, and I like it, but boy did I hate it back then. He forced me to go into that room, pretty much. I was perfectly fine with the room I had, but he wasn't. So, that's why my room is now in the basement. He didn't want my mom involved in anything, any part of my life. He thought my bond with my mom was weird. He thought my bond with my mom's adoptive mom, my grandma, was weird. He thought that the way that I lived as a child was weird. I'll tell you right now that my bond with my mom is not weird. And my bond with my grandma is not weird. Or was not weird, I should say. She's no longer alive, but it was not weird, my bond with her, and it was not weird, my bond with my mom. But he didn't want her involved in decorating my room. He didn't want her involved in painting my room. He didn't want her involved in anything of my room. Any part of my room, he didn't want her involved. So when I involved her in my room by telling her, oh, I want this or that, or this or that, or this or that, or that or this, he would get really mad and threaten to break up with me and say, we're done, we're over, I'm glad we broke up, blah, blah, blah. He also hated having my dog sleep in my bed. After he found out that my dog Gracie has slept in my bed, which, okay, fuck you, no, not gonna say your name. Fuck you, Luke. Fuck you, Luke. I can have my dog in my bed if I want to. It's my fucking life. It's my room. I can do whatever the fuck I want to do. Okay? You do not have control over me. I have control over me. So, fuck off. Anyways, he wanted me to deep clean my bed so that way there wouldn't be dog hair on my bed anymore. And he could sleep in my bed without getting hair all over him or any part of his body, really. But, like, fuck you, Luke. Fuck you. Fuck you. We hung out a week after we broke up. And you want to know what he told me that day we hung out? I'm using Facebook dating to get over you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. That's what I say to that. Fuck you. Fuck you. Leave your comments, questions, and anything else you want to say in the comments below. And I think that's everything, and I will talk to you in the next video. Hopefully the next video is more upbeat than this one. It should be. But yeah. I will talk to you in the next video, and I hope you learned something from this video. That not everything is as good as people make it seem on social media. You literally don't know what someone's going through behind the scenes. But that is everything, and I'm pretty sure I left a few stories out, but honest to God, the best thing going forward is the help I'm getting, and that there's a record of his actions towards me, and I hope that in the future I can have a police record and that he can get arrested, because he is dangerous. Like, so dangerous that his parents think that well, not his parents, but we think, and people that I'm getting help from think, that he has killed his dog. Because why else would his parents get an autopsy? So. But I hope you learned something from this video, and I'm going to edit the video now.